And so let's go ahead and talk about 7.3, consideration of letter to the California Department of Water Resources in opposition to the Sonoma County Water Agency's grant application requesting funding for Potter Valley project related matters. CAO Hutchinson.
It's not on there.
Oops. Yeah. Sorry about that, Mr. Chair.
It's not?
No, it didn't load on Granicus.
Oh, it loaded for me. That's weird.
Oh.
And that would be a very long letter to go through. Did anybody else have struggles opening up the letter?
Off the website, I guess.
And that's where I am right now, and it opened up.
Huh.
And that's where I've been opening it up the entire weekend. So maybe there was
I tried to open it many times. It didn't open. I'll try.
And CAO Hutchinson, if there's a way to summarize the letter as well as possible.
Yes. In fact, would you like us to do a share screen? I know
Yes.
it's a long letter, but
Yeah.
I think it's an important letter.
Post it. And so Patrick Sullivan, I just invited him in and want to introduce him, our tax administrator. He prepared the original draft of this letter, and then our subcommittee, of course, made some modifications to it. And so, Patrick, are you able to do a share screen and present the letter? I see you here with us.
Yes, just give me one moment. I just got brought in as a panelist, so I'm trying to bring that up right now for a share screen.
Thank you, Patrick.
And while we're waiting for that, I think that Supervisor Crandall and myself can also help introduce the letter. Supervisor Crandall, would you like to offer some comments?
Here it is as well, Mr. Chair. It's up.
Yeah, I did. And now I have it.
Supervisor Crandall, did you want to make a comment or did you want to wait?
Yeah, I'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Patrick, can you do a single page view? I think otherwise people won't be able to see it very well.
Can everyone see this all right?
It's getting better. Keep going.
Okay,
That's good right there.
There you go.
perfect. So this letter is it's regarding the Sonoma County Water Agency's application under the state grant program. What our letter initially begins with is some of the background behind the Potter Valley project and Lake County's exclusion from participation. I think as many are aware, Scott Dam was built creating Lake Pillsbury. That's when the year-round diversion began of Eel River water into the Russian River Basin. This letter highlights Representative Jared Huffman, who represents parts of Marin, Sonoma, Mendocino, and Humboldt. His efforts to create an ad hoc committee, and that's where, in more recent times, Lake County's participation was somewhat minimized. This committee was focused a lot on Eel River and Russian River interests in Humboldt, Mendocino, and Sonoma. And there wasn't much attention, as far as we could tell, paid to Lake County. We weren't included in a meaningful way in a lot of the goals that they had as part of their efforts. And Lake County interests, such as the homeowners around Lake Pillsbury, were not allowed to participate in the way that interest groups in the other counties were. So the letter walks through this background, explains how we did not have a seat at the table and the same way that others did. And especially when the Two Basin Partnership was created, sort of a smaller subset of that committee formed by Representative Huffman that comprised of Sonoma, Mendocino, Humboldt, and Cal Trout. And there were a few later additions, but Lake County was not permitted to participate in that. So these groups have been having meetings, deciding and studying how to impact or changes that could impact Lake County, including the removal of Scott Dam. And the headwaters of the Eel there are in Lake County. Lake Pillsbury is in Lake County. And this letter is expressing that we have not been included in a meaningful way. The next section is walking through what's happened recently with FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. There was a request by this group to provide additional time and extension. FERC did not grant that extension. And so, and it's partially because the money at stake, the Sonoma County Water and its partners were not able to raise the 18 million needed to conduct initial studies that FERC had requested. And without that capital, it doesn't appear there's any way forward for them to proceed. At least that was our thought here. The ultimate cost of taking out the dam, early estimates have been upward of $400 to $500 million. And a lot of the uncertainty in that centers around the need for environmental and economic mitigation in Lake County. If the dam's removed, there's major impacts to sediment. They have to drop all of that sediment. They're going to excavate somewhere. There can be issues with groundwater, impacts for wildfire, access to water. There's a wide range of impacts, and a lot of those costs, potentially more than half the cost of this project, could involve those mitigation efforts in Lake County. And again, we just weren't included in a meaningful way. Any option that included fish passage didn't seem to be addressed in a meaningful manner because it wasn't what some of the groups wanted most. Fish passage would be a potential way to remedy this if, like, for instance, the fish ladder was put in at Scott Dam. That could solve this issue and provide solutions that everyone could work with. The next section is talking about PG&E's role in this, and it's just highlighting that what brought us to this point is PG&E's decision to withdraw from the Potter Valley project. They want out of it. It's not profitable anymore for them. And as a public utility, they ultimately need permission from regulators for CPUC, others to sort of escape this liability. So that license transfer would have got PG&E off the license, and it would have transferred to that planning group or whatever entity they intended to create, which would have been an entity with oversight over Lake County, but we weren't brought in as a part of that either. PG&E, if they were let off the hook, essentially would not have to pay for all of those mitigation costs we had just discussed here. So this is just highlighting that PG&E made the decision it's their effort to abandon this project, which has provided water to many communities now for over 100 years. And it's for financial reasons. So it's sort of an artificial crisis that's been created on PG&E's timeline for us. And the final section of our letter here was just bringing up that further decision-making should occur in an open, transparent forum to encourage public participation. A lot of the efforts surrounding the Potter Valley project and the potential decommissioning of Scott Dam have occurred behind closed doors. Congressman Huffman's commission or his committee was not open to the public, and efforts were made to keep notes more minimal so that people could speak more freely. But that also meant the public wasn't as aware of what was going on. The notice of intent parties, that two basin partnership, their meetings also weren't open to the public. So a lot of the decision makers in this have not really provided the public with the opportunity for discussion here and to understand the potential risks and benefits of each option that's been considered. So those are the highlights of our letter. And if there's any questions or anything you want me to go back to, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan. Want to open it up for Supervisor Crandall for any comments or additional information he wants to add.
I'll just add to.
And if we can get the lights on, please. Thank you.
I'll just add as well that with Patrick's statement about a lot of the meetings happening, in closed doors and whatnot. Another attribute was that when we reached out for help with Congressman Garamendi, they asked for minutes and things of those natures, and all we really got was word of mouth. So very, very, very hard to produce what someone's doing without that information. So that, for me, is a little more telling. I like the letter that Patrick wrote. It states everything that we've been stating in every ad hoc committee meeting that we went to. And I know yesterday I met with some folks, Mendocino County, and they had just discussed with us and tried to get into more discussions about our point of view and understand that we would like to be recognized and whatnot more. Also, they found out about the letter and asked for us to consider some verbiage that they offered. And I don't know if it was sent out, but I could read it briefly. And in the first paragraph, after it states, it says, our understanding is that these funds would be used in support of Sonoma County Water Agency's activities surrounding the Potter Valley project. And then this is the new verbiage. We understand that the funds will go for three purposes. First, assess the cost to operate the water diversion infrastructure of the Potter Valley project as a basis for smart decisions to operate the project or portions of the project. Second, form a Russian River water users forum to engage on the preservation and funding of that infrastructure. Third, assess water supply reliability opportunities in the Potter Valley in Mendocino County. We are supportive of or have no objection to DWR providing funding for these services. However, the County of Lake, while not aware of all details surrounding Sonoma County Waters Agency's application, is vehemently opposed to the provision of state funding to advance the removal of Scott Dam to any outside agency that is attempting to operate in our county in a collaborative manner. Although I appreciate them offering this, I feel like it kind of, I mean, as much as I want to be, collaborative with different agencies and assist them with this, it just demeans our letter in general, so I'd rather just stick with the letter that we have. And I appreciate them offering this. I appreciate the meeting, but I don't really want to dilute the letter that we worked hard on. So just wanted to state that. And so that they knew that our meeting had some sort of result yesterday, because it was a really positive meeting that had surrounding the ad hoc committee for Potter Valley for quite some time. Usually we have issues and arguments, and but with these folks, I didn't have that. So yeah, just wanted to mention that.
And I'll add to that. And I appreciate that they reached out to you. I know you and I had a conversation about it yesterday. And I think that already the letter shares a little bit of success by getting their attention, that we don't want people to decide what happens in our community that we are in, that's our jurisdiction to serve. And yet they're trying to attempt to do things. Now, I want to make sure that the board is aware. I don't want us to get all the way to the point of voting, that this letter has the potential of shots fired. The board of directors for Sonoma County Water is the board of supervisors for Sonoma County. And so they submitted an application for a grant due to the drought, but within that grant, it talks about purchasing key components of the Potter Valley project. It talks about, it's not just drought issues. It also talks about the Scotts Dam situation. And in my opinion, I agree with Supervisor Crandall that had there been a conversation saying, hey, we want to submit this grant, how do you guys feel about it? How can we work together to figure out what needs to happen? Then I would be more accepting of their grant. But the fact that they didn't even try to communicate with us, and that within their grant, they're trying to do things and obtain things within our jurisdiction, I have huge problems with that. I think it's just a continued action of what we've been seeing. And I think that this letter needs to be submitted so that they can rethink and how it is that they think they can bully and walk right through and steamroll Lake County. And so that's my perspective on that. I'm open for continued discussion, which I think that things will continue from the communication that you had yesterday, Supervisor Crandall. And I'm glad that we're getting their attention, because we need to work together, not be pushed to the side where we just deal with whatever the results of their actions are. Supervisor Scott.
And for me, you said, this letter is going to be like shots fired, but I think we have to look at, we're not the ones that fired first. We're trying to protect what we have here in Lake County. I think for many years, they have just bullied Lake County and said, you're going to do what we want you to do, and you're just going to take it. And we have been fighting for a seat at this table for way too long. We should have been at the table at the beginning. So it's definitely, we need to protect what we have here. And so I don't think it's shots fired. We're just protecting what we have because they've been taking advantage of us.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes, and I just want to add to that, Mendocino, who we met with yesterday, has not necessarily been shooting, any types of shots at us. They've been pretty much just kind of on their path in the whole NOI party situation. And so that's another reason why I appreciated our discussion yesterday. And I know that this letter, it may seem like it floods over into, oppositional against them, but it's really, when Congressman had brought it up in the ad hoc committee meeting and asked for support, I'd stated we don't have any support. And one of the biggest concepts for me, another to add to some of the irregularities and things of that nature is the fact that they keep using fish passage when we know it's mainly about water, where the water is going to go. And so we've had letters to FERC and all these other agencies explaining why fish passage isn't to us the solution. We think it's just kind of like something that we're talking about to help, gain favor in their act, in their plight. So I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
And also this originates from an email that Supervisor Crandall and I received from Congressman Huffman. I have a feeling it's the last I will ever be receiving to ask us to support this grant. And so this is where the letter originates from that you see before you. So I have a feeling I'm not going to be hearing from Mr. Driscoll's email much more.
And I just want to add too, I'm a big fan of collaboration and working together. But again, we have to make sure that we are taking care and protecting what we have here before we collaborate.
And collaboration starts before decisions are made.
Yeah.
Not after decisions are made.
And then that to add is like when I mentioned, once we argued fish passage to pretty much to the point where no one wanted to talk about it anymore, then it became, well, who's going to really take over the project? Okay, we're here now. We could have talked about that how long ago? Collaboratively, but there was no discussion about it. It was just dam removal, decommissioning, all of that. So as it commonly happens in the most recent meetings and discussions that, well, who's going to take over the project? That's the thing that they put in our laps as Lake County. And it's like, well, we don't know now. We didn't know then, but we would have liked to talk about it then. So yeah, rather than, have studies only focusing on decommissioning, and focus on other things that could potentially be a collaborative effort or something that works for everyone, but it never became that. So, yeah.
And before opening up for public comment, I just want to share appreciation for Mr. Sullivan's efforts in writing the letter. Very well formatted, very well argued. Appreciate his time in drafting up that letter. And we have a comment from Supervisor Simon.
Yeah, obviously just want to state support for the letter, but I just want to talk about, everything that we're dealing with here in Lake County. We just had a conversation about, infrastructure dollars that are coming down and other things. So we need to be keeping up as many dams as possible right now with climate change, with the fires that we're experiencing. And I know we've had multiple conversations here about getting a seat at the table as we move forward with this. And the jurisdiction stuff, you hit it right on the head, Supervisor Spatier. If you want to do something in Lake County, then you approach us and we can do it collaboratively. And that's the message we need to send. So in complete support. And I know, and I would imagine all of the advisory committees that you sit on in the North Shore probably talk about this topic a lot, but this is a topic also that comes up at the Middletown area town hall. We just talked about it this last Thursday. The question was, hey, is there anyone thinking about building dams? I said, well, no, but there are outside sources talking about taking a dam down in Lake County, and we're going to continue to push that fight, in favor of keeping it up and being collaborative if something's going to happen. But I want to thank you for bringing the letter here. I want to thank you for the hard work, because I know it's not been easy. We've had reports and conversations of how it's gone to this point, and hopefully this will be one step in the right direction for collaboration. So, in complete support of the letter.
Thank you for your comment.
And thank you. Pat wrote the letter. So, but yeah.
Let's go ahead and open up for the public. I see we have a hand up in the Zoom room. Betsy Kahn.
Thank you, Chairman Sabatier. I just have one question for Supervisor Crandall. I would like to know the name of the entity that you were speaking with yesterday, because there is an entity called the Mendocino Inland Power and Water Agency, which has been the major proponent for these changes. And I'm just interested in knowing whether it was them or the actual county of Mendocino in the context of the Eel and Russian River Commission, or just as a county conversation?
It was a county conversation. County Supervisor Glenn McGordy was with us, and a few others. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I believe she said thank you right as she was being cut off, but maybe I'm mistaken in what I heard. And let's go ahead and move on to Carol Sequini.
Unmute. Good morning. And thank you. And thank you for your hard work and all of the comments we've heard this morning. It's been wonderful. Some of you know I am one of the directors of the Lake Pillsbury Alliance. We're dedicated to the preservation of Lake Pillsbury for public benefit. And in October of 2020, Representative Huffman was quoted as saying, "There will come a point where people in Lake County realize this dam is not long for this world." In October 21st of 2021, he was quoted as saying, "The Eel River stakeholders have been willing to commit to that water supply certainty for the Russian River, and the Russian River stakeholders have been willing to commit to dam removal on the Eel River side." Those are two pieces that hold this together. There should be many opportunities for a revitalized Potter Valley project, one that assures water supply, fish passage, and habitat restoration. And these deserve to be explored, and Lake County should not be minimized in this process. Over the last 2 years, we have attended a number of meetings in Mendocino and Sonoma counties, some very recently. And I can assure you that no other agencies or entities are standing up for Lake Pillsbury. They want the water, but they don't want the dam. We strongly encourage you to approve this board action and any other action that can be taken to slow this down so that collaborative conversations can be done. This is not a done deal. It doesn't have to be a done deal. When we talk about purchasing diversion facilities, most of those discussions currently are diversion facilities without Scott Dam. As always, Lake Pillsbury Alliance appreciates the time, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And that does it for public comment from the Zoom room. Anyone from the board chambers on this item? And seeing no hands, let's bring it back to the board for deliberation or action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the letter to the California Department of Water Resources in opposition to the Sonoma County Water Agency's grant application requesting funding for Potter Valley project related matters.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Crandall and a second from Supervisor Scott. Roll call, please, Joanna.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.